Brian Callahan on Sunday was coaching the pants off of Alex Van Pelt. He was crushing him with what he had to offer versus what Alex Van Pelt has to offer, calling him incapable of motion, incapable of designed runs. He, at one point on Felger Maz this week, called it a 1999 West Coast offense, that it's outdated. Antiquated is this offense with Alex Van Pelt.
That's when he played.
Your thoughts on it, Bert?
It's the Mike McCarthy offense. So, I think like a lot of people tie creativity directly to motion, which Zoe, you'd be more qualified to talk about that than me, but it is what a lot of these guys are comfortable with coming from college. It's, like a lot of the window dressing that goes on at different levels of the game to take the mental load off of the players and make things a little bit easier for them and allow them to play faster. And so it'll be interesting to see, like, as the season goes on, as Drake gets his feet underneath him, do they start to try to do more of that if Baker's in the equation, if Polk's in the equation, like that? Because those guys coming from the systems they came from in college, like, you would think that they'd be more comfortable if you are adding some movement to what you're doing offensively.
I think when we practiced, and this is the games when I played in the 90s, the game is much different than it is now. Like, motion is more prevalent. But your prep week, when you played a team that did a lot of motion, was that much more difficult.
Yep.
Because you got to prepare for everything. Here's my problem. Like, if you got a weak side run, and normally on a run check, you get up to the line of scrimmage, you say your tight end's to the right, and the weak side is to your left. Mm-hmm. All you're doing is counting guys backside. So the center cuts it in middle. So if you got 3 guys backside, you're running it to that side. If you got 4 back there, you can't run it there. But if you line up, and you got the weak side there, and you're exposed, and you got 4 there because you got slot over there. You take the slot receiver, put him in motion to the other side. Now the DB's got to move to the other side.
Right.
So you're not moving the secondary run defenders.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's great to get up there and be basic because I'm looking at it, I can play.
And that's why, like, Aaron Rodgers, like, so, for example, like, and this is the way a lot of this works too, like, if you watch the Packers with LaFleur, when he had Rodgers, like, and LaFleur's coming from McVay and Shanahan, right? Like, almost no motion. Well, that was Rodgers. That wasn't LaFleur. Because if you see LaFleur now, the motion is back in the offense with Jordan Love in there.
Right.
They weren't doing it when Rodgers was there. Why? Well, because Rodgers, like Peyton Manning, was, I want to be able to break the huddle and see the picture, and I will be responsible for moving guys around. If I need a coverage indicator, I will move him.
That's what Brady did.
Right.
Brady would call guys in and that. And Drake May's doing a little bit of this now. But like, part of the big giveaway is if it is that weak side, you bring Kendrick Bourne and you keep him inside that tackle, you know you're running there.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing him in to block the edge guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, I mean, like, I think that piece of it, it's definitely fair to look at it. And I mean, you even look at like Ben McAdoo, that's his background too, is coming from the old school Mike McCarthy offense, so again, I think this is like one of those things that you're going to have to look at and assess after the year in like, okay, like where is the offense going to go? If you're a personnel guy, if you are Elliott Wolf, you're looking at and saying like, I really like these players in free agency. How do we set up something that'll attract them here, that'll put them in a position to succeed? All those things I think are factors. But like the flip side of it is I do think he's developing. And I got into an argument with Felger on the air on this the other day. Like, I see real development. Like, I think you see a guy who's playing with, like, a calm lower half, which you didn't see in college. Like, he was kind of like, the analogy was he's a big puppy, right? Like, he's like, you can see the big paws, right? Like, he's going to, you can see how big he's going to grow, but it's kind of like all over the place, right? I think you see him playing a little calmer than he did in college, which is a nice check mark for the guys who are developing him. So I think you see, like, the individual quarterback development. I would agree that some of the scheme stuff has a ways to go.
But I do see him better than he was in August.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
By how much?
I do too. I mean,
footwork, pocket movement.
The week-over-week stuff too. Like,
he threw pick sixes in practice. Like,
week 1, week 2, week 3. Remember what you were hearing out of practice too. Oh my God, like this kid can't play in July, right? Like, oh my God, they got it wrong.
Well, he can play.
The kid can play.
Who said that? Who said they got it wrong?
There were real questions. Like now. Again, like you go back to that premise, like everybody's got a show to do every day, right? Like, so you are talking, there is some hyperbole involved.
You meant talk radio was saying that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I know what show was saying that. I thought you meant people who actually had seen him.
I mean,
players.
jamming.
I thought you meant like people involved were saying that. I'm like,
I mean,
who said that?
jamming, like pulling the alarm. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, like it doesn't look right. Well, yeah, that's what you drafted. You drafted a guy who was a little raw, and I do think he came along. And I think you can see it week 1 to week 2, week 3 in the preseason games. Like I think you saw improvement every week, and that's a credit to Drake first and foremost. But the coaches obviously have put in a plan to help develop him, and I think having like the infrastructure of not only, Alex Van Pelt, who played in the league, and T.C. McCartney, who's been a quarterback's coach, but having a third guy in there who's developed quarterbacks, and McAdoo helps too.
Mayo's not going anywhere.
No.
So stop the talk.
No. Gerard Mayo's going to be the head coach next year. I do believe that. Like, I don't.
Is Alex Van Pelt his offensive coordinator?
I think that's up in the air.
Yeah.
Again, like, I think that is like,
Sounds like a no.
But no, I don't. I think Gerard
That's
Mayo.
the first hesitation.
But I think
Sounds like a no.
I think Gerard Mayo and Alex, I think they're on the same page. I do wonder, like, is ownership, like, 'cause I don't think ownership's going to fire Mayo. Does ownership look at the situation after the year and try to push some sort of change, and then Van Pelt becomes the fall guy? That I could see happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's typical.
Yeah.
That's what I call that first week of the preseason, man. We started coming up with our candidates list. That's how this was going to go. They weren't going to win very many games. There's typically a fall guy. You can't win.
But
you can't win like 3 games and bring everyone back. That just how often does that happen, Bert?
Yeah, I also don't think Van Pelt has been. Again, I love Greg, and Greg does a great job. But like, I don't agree that he's been a train wreck schematically. Like that McCarthy offense, it's obviously like, they had success last year in Dallas with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, if you have players, you can run it. So, I think the talent issue way outweighs the scheme issue here. But again, like you could be in a position where you need to have a fall guy, and I could see that happening.
Is Elliott Wolf as safe as Gerard Mayo?
Yeah, I don't think they're moving on from Elliott.
So in a similar sort of fall guy type of move, will there be changes in the front office that are not Elliott Wolf related? Will there be scouting guys that are removed from the process?
I don't think. I don't think. Look,
underling changes.
I don't think you do that. Like, I think what you could do is you could start to add some guys, and like they have typically had a smaller scouting department. So, does ownership look at that and say we need to build this out a little bit?
Bert, I'd fire them all. You know what I would get? I'd go get the Street and Smiths, Lindy Sports, Athlon Sports Draft Magazine.
Bag of darts.
Because if they did that, they'd have better success in the crap that they've drafted. They would. They had another bad draft outside of Drake May.
We don't know that yet.
I differ on that.
Okay.
I don't believe they got much in this draft. It doesn't look like there's a lot of talent that they pulled out of this thing other than Drake May. And I don't give them a lot of credit for Drake May. 3 quarterback draft, you had the 3rd pick, you're at the bottom of the league, your roster stinks, and they took the quarterback. I don't think Elliott Wolf would have been allowed to do something else with that pick. I think his owner would have said, take the quarterback, dummy. Take the QB. We're taking the kid.
I mostly agree with that, like that you or I could make that pick. They also got good offers for it. And so, like, if it does wind up being that Drake May is a superstar and J.J. McCarthy looks like crap, or Michael Penix looks like crap, or Bo Nix looks like crap.
Why do they have to look like crap? It's just Drake May has to look better than them. That's all.
No, because and then you look at it and you say, okay, like that was really smart, not moving, because there were people that felt like you should move.
Even if J.J. McCarthy's a good quarterback and Penix is a good quarterback, I'm sorry. You never trade a great quarterback for a good one, even if it nets you other players along the way. It's just not a trade you'd ever make. You always take the best possible quarterback. Always.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is right here. I mean, I think it's right here.
In the Packer way.
It's one of the easy ones.
Best players. Yeah.
Number 2, hire the best. Get the best. Don't get someone who's qualified. Get the very best person for the gig. And so when you tell me that they need to hire more scouts, I think to myself, here's an idea. Just take Ladd McConkey and don't trade down to get Jalen Polk. How about you do that? How about you play checkers again? Elliot, play checkers.
I saw Harbaugh compared him to Steve Smith.
Oh, awesome.
Great. Perfect.
Great.
What's he have now? He has 50 catches.
Great. Could have had Steve Smith, but instead you took Jalen Polk and Javon Baker because you wanted to move down a couple of spots, right? And get all horny for the extra draft pick. It's Bill Belichick all over again. It's all his guys that he hired to be here, and they're operating in the very same fashion. So I don't see a lot of changes there, and I know how disgusted ownership had become with Bill Belichick running the thing, And the big reason he got fired was not because of his in-game coaching, but because his rosters went to crap. And all the guys you got running it still are all his people. So what did you expect in the draft? Maybe you should have them on a much shorter leash than the new head coach. Maybe. Maybe you should say, Elliot, you got to make some real changes in this front office for us to have a belief in you for the long term. Because so far, 2024, the best we can come up with the guys he brought in from outside the organization to help this team this season were Hooper, the tight end, and Sly, the kicker. That's what we got. That's where we're at. Everybody else was here. Where's the infusion of talent? Even if it's not the high-priced, day one of free agency, big trade for first-round picks type of talent, where's that middle of the roster talent? Where's the bottom of the roster talent? Where is it? What have you done?
I guess Washington would be the example of a team that did that really well this offseason.
Yeah. Oh, we know. We're holding them up as the way to do things now all of a sudden because they just did
crazy.
A much better job than the Patriots over the last 10 months.
This is awesome. So the Commanders with, again, like I think what most people would consider like one of the worst rosters in the league coming into the offseason, right? They're now 7-2. That they were never that good through 9 games in 25 years under Dan Snyder. So this is
96.
96. So this is their best start since they were playing in RFK Stadium and Jack Kent Cooke was the owner. And it's just like, again, like you got to give them credit. Like they got a lot of like the Frankie Louvous, the Dorrance Armstrongs. I know those names don't mean anything to people here, but if you look it up and you see like a lot of the mid-level signings they got, like they just did like a really good job of getting a lot of those signings right.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.